Oh, hello, all right. Welcome to Preaching Young Podcast. This is episode 11.
It is.
I can't believe it. Y'all said we couldn't make the episode 4, and here we are at episode 11. We got past our really big milestone, which is episode 10. If you haven't listened to that, go back to YouTube.
You're getting ahead of us. Come on.
Go back to YouTube, Baby Crozier Ministries, or see it on Spotify or Anchor FM, and check out that episode. We just introduced our brand new Preaching Young theme song, which you just heard. And I'm excited. What have you guys been up to this week?
Well, you see, this week's been an interesting week. I've been off this week, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
The weather has been nice.
We went golfing.
It didn't rain.
And we played tennis.
Played tennis this week.
That was fun.
And
I've never done that. I've never played tennis before. You ever played tennis?
Yeah, I play tennis all the time.
It's a very interesting sport. I didn't know if I was gonna like it because I was like, wow, this is. Brittany thought tennis is. Brittany thinks you don't have to move in tennis.
Oh my god.
So every time the ball gets hit to her, she doesn't move.
Oh
so we're playing.
Have you never seen
friends.
Venus Serena?
I know.
Serena
These
Williams?
people are dripping in sweat.
No.
Yeah,
This is
they're
a high.
going
This
nuts.
is a high.
Yeah, well, I just found that out.
That's why. What is it, Venus or Serena? I think
Serena.
Serena.
That's why Serena Williams is one of the greatest athletes in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because tennis is very athletic.
It's very cardiovascular endurance.
Well, I just thought that a lot of old people played it. And you
I
didn't
don't
need
know
to
one
have...
old person that plays it actually.
I do. There's lots of old people that play tennis and golf.
Name one.
Golf
Golf is completely
Golf is
different.
different. Golf is
Because you literally do just stand there, you whack a ball, and you get in your cart and you drive over. That's fine.
I'm just saying this.
Golf is
I've
very
golfed
low.
18 holes before and my shoulders hurt the next day.
Oh, I'm sure it is. There's a lot of work. I mean, Tiger Woods is an athlete as well. You know, I'm not downing golf.
All we're saying is tennis is very interesting. And I thought it was very interesting that every time the ball got hit to Brittany, she didn't move because she thought you don't have to move. in
Makes
tennis.
sense to me.
Well, I thought my partner had to get it because they were behind me.
Technically, yes, you're right. Actually, pretty.
Oh, thank you.
But
so Andrew was just a
but hang
horrible
on.
partner.
No.
Technically, yes.
No, I wasn't a partner. I played against her. We would hit it right to her, and she would just stand there.
All I'm saying is I really stepped up because I'm a competitive person.
No, you weren't.
And
Not with
I
tennis.
won. My last 2 games I won.
Really?
Yeah.
So, how do you explain that?
I don't know, and I don't understand the scores because it's like 15-15.
15 love, yeah.
I don't understand
I
that
agree.
stuff.
Scoring is interesting.
This Sunday was our first Sunday back.
Woo-woo.
What was your thoughts on that?
I thought it went really well.
Well, we did 2 services.
9 and 11.
Exhausting, but it is what it is.
I was excited to see people. in
It was.
person.
I was honestly nervous because I was like, well, there's probably gonna be lots of people like, not here. But there was a lot of people here. We had 2 services, yes, but we split them up to our capacity, followed the rules. But I was like, wow, this is awesome.
And we weren't too overly enforcing, so we kind of left it to people to really
Exactly.
sit where they want to sit. And people did a really good job of social distancing and not really hugging on each other, so I was happy with all that as well. So
Very good point.
that was good. Also on Wednesday, we actually went to a church, I don't know, 40 minutes outside of town. Yeah, sort of a local. I guess we're in the same association together, and we were able to help them move from their recording on their phone every Sunday to hopefully they're going to be moving to live streaming for their Sunday services. So that was kind of cool too, to be able to help another churches helping churches, and get them on their feet to, continue to spread the gospel out to the world.
It's always nice. It's always
Always
nice to
good
help
thing.
people out. Because I don't want people to think we're in competition with one another. I'm not trying to steal people.
We're all in this together, and here's the thing: if it benefits them as a church, it's going to benefit God, and that's the ultimate goal.
I thought it was very encouraging. The guy was always very just I love it. I would have never done it if it wasn't for the pandemic. Getting on Facebook, doing the lives.
Live streaming, right?
Yes, he said he would never do it, and then it's like it pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Well, and the other thing is that we were able to show him that you don't have to have any. Like I know some churches will spend $4,500 on live streaming production. No, you don't have to do that. Like we showed him a very cheap alternative to live streaming that's very clear that he can work with. He can do it right from his phone as well. He can control the video camera from his phone, and I think that was encouraging to me, is that we were able to help a small church, move from just your cell phone, which is bad quality, to a live streaming camera that's not too crazy out of budget, that's not going to take up much space in church, and can do the job for him. It needs to get done. That's awesome. So I was excited about that. But I heard we have a question for today.
We do have a question. Are you ready for it?
am.
It's from a young man named
I
Michael,
always get nervous. Hey, Michael.
and he says, how do you get in the habit of reading? I'm assuming he means reading your Bible. Yeah, that's what I'll be assuming. But he says, how do you get in the habit of reading?
Well, that's a
your
good
Bible?
question. Actually, I had another person ask me this question this week as well. So it's actually a great question. Some techniques that I like to use. One, well, do y'all have a thing? I'll just go ahead and say one. I'll let y'all go next. If somebody's like, hey, I'm having trouble getting to reading the Bible, getting into the habit of reading the Bible, I want to go through the whole Bible, whatever the case is, I always tell them to start with the smallest to the largest. And there's really the Bible, it's all good. You can start.
You can't start in the wrong spot.
Right? You can't start in the wrong spot. Sometimes you can get started in spots that are filled with names and it's confusing. But I always say go the smallest to the largest. Smallest are a lot of them are letters to early churches, early Christians, and so they're encouraging. They are applicable, and they're easy to read. And so when you get through, some of the smallest books in the Bible are real short. So you read 3 chapters and you're done with the verse or the book, and you're like, oh, cool.
Right.
I got through one book in 5 minutes. I got through the second book in 10 minutes, whatever the case is. So I always say go smallest to largest. The other thing is, I always encourage people to get a life application Bible. It has some of the greatest commentary to go along with your Bible reading, and you can literally, that's exactly what it is. It's life applicable, so you can literally apply it to your life immediately and understand it a lot better through that commentary. But also devotion. Get into a good devotion that you can really get into, and then that'll help you get into reading the Bible as well. The Bible app has tons of free reading plans that can help you get into good things. Billy Graham has 1 million devotions that you can do. So that's what I would do. I'll go that route.
I think another thing that I do is I make sure that I set out the time
Yep.
to read my Bible.
That's important.
You got to schedule in.
And it doesn't matter if someone texts me, nothing. I ignore everything else, and I do my reading for the day. I do my study for the day.
She's pretty good at that anyway.
And
I was about to say, you must be reading all day if you ignore people only when you read.
no, I ignore you guys all the time, but that's just another.
That's my choice.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, yeah, set out that time because it's like anything. When I played basketball, I set out time to practice
Yep.
because I needed to get better. So
Yep.
that's what you have to do. Thanksgiving dinner, you prep. So you have to set out the time to prep the meal before you cook it.
Yep.
That's what it is. So just make sure you're making that time in your day to read because I think that's the most important part. So if you don't do that, then you're going to fail every time. 'Cause
And
you're
you want
like,
it to become
wow,
a
I'm so
habit.
busy.
You want it to
Habit,
become a
that's
habit.
Exactly.
the key. Yeah.
And it will pretty fast because you're like, wow, I love
Well,
this
because
stuff.
then at that point you realize you didn't do it that day or something, and you're like, wow, I feel like I'm missing something. So then kind of
It's got to be
hold
part
yourself
of
accountable.
your daily life. So that's a good question, Michael. Thank you for
Appreciate it.
asking that question.
If you've got any more questions, you can send us an email over at preachingyoung@gmail.com.
Thank you for that.
That's a good question.
We just found out this week also, this is a very kind of sad thing about church camp.
This is very depressing. Do we have to go this way?
Yeah,
I'm gonna cry.
I want to talk a little bit about Crossings, talk about 2018.
Crossings is
Is that
awesome.
when we went to Crossings, Doug?
Might have been 17.
Might have been, I think it was 18.
It was probably 18.
'cause I was
Yeah, it was definitely 18.
It was definitely 18. You're right.
So in 2018, we went to Crossings as a church, and man, life changing. It's a great camp
That's the first time you'd ever been.
here in Kentucky. Yep, it was. It was a good camp, and so we have been, as soon as we took over this church here in Falmouth, we have been raising money and fundraising for money, and people have been donating their money to really send all of our kids to camp. Because my goal is that I don't want any of these kids to pay for camp. We want to take them there. We want it to be completely free, worry-free, all that. And so we did it, man. We raised the money, and
We were excited.
We were excited.
We had meetings planned. We had a lot of fundraisers to help us get to and from
Yep.
as far as transportation goes. We had a parent meeting scheduled for registration and information, and
then the pandemic hit.
then the pandemic hit.
And so they just announced this week that it's going to be canceled. And so it's kind of a bummer to hear that kind of stuff. We were talking about all the stuff that's, Winter Jam was canceled for us.
That was right at the beginning. That was right at the very start of all this. Was Winter Jam.
Elevation Night of Worship, I was going to try to go to that, canceled. NASCAR, we were going to go to NASCAR, canceled. What else? We were going to go see Phil Robertson live in Cincinnati,
That was
canceled.
awesome.
We just had so many things canceled, and it's been kind of discouraging to an extent. But I'm excited. Jordan Family Band. I don't know if you know the Jordan Family Band. Just
They have
look them up
Facebook.
on Facebook.
Yeah, they have
They're
Facebook.
all over Facebook. If you have Facebook, I guarantee you've seen them at one point or another. But they're going to be coming down to Falmouth on June 28th.
That's correct. That's right.
All right, yeah, June 28th.
He said it.
So it'll be at 7 p.m. I believe. So I'm excited about to have them. We're going to still have them. We're going to try to do it outside at a venue here in Falmouth, and it's going to be great if we can pull it all off. But it's going to take a lot of work on our end. But I'm excited. So there's still a little bit of cool stuff that's coming down, but it's hard to work around this pandemic that we're still in. And you know, is there a virus? Is there not a virus? I have zero idea because nobody ever talks about it.
That's true. The biggest thing I think is, especially during all this, even though stuff's been canceled, there's still hope. You know,
There is still hope.
we still had I mean, we just, you know, week to week, we're still having good weeks. Good things are still happening. Just because we can't go to things we had planned, but you know,
Still discouraging.
they're still that's okay. But you know,
I'm excited.
you gotta
Listen,
look at the bright
so
side.
I saw this article this week, and Fox News actually ran it originally, and man, I tell you, it broke my heart. And so I want to talk about it a little bit today. And then I want to talk about a post that I saw that really was a great example of why this article was written in the first place. This article is about the lead singer for a Christian band called Hawk Nelson. Hawk Nelson's been around for years and years and years. They used to be a big Christian band back early 2000s. And that was right when I was in a Christian band. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Children of God, COG.
Nobody.
Okay. But we're a pretty big deal.
They had stickers. They had.
We had everything. Merchandise.
Yeah.
We traveled to the tri-state area, playing at different venues, and
Nobody's ever heard of it.
but we were big in the Christian industry, okay? We were pretty big deal. Okay, so
You opened up for some important people.
we did. Grits, John Rubin, almost opened up for POD, but they ran late. So technically we opened up for him, but we didn't see him in person till.
Let's Kill It. Did you ever see Skillet, or was that it?
Well, we played at Festival Skills.
At the same. Oh, okay, the same festival.
Oh.
He was at a different.
Okay.
They're at the main stage. We're on a side stage.
Was it
So
Ictus?
stuff like
Was
that.
Ictus?
New song.
Oh, okay.
Well, we played Ictus too. We played Ictus Festival up in Wilmore to play a new song. I don't remember where a new song was, but
Anyway, go ahead.
so anyway, which I might as well announce this since we're talking about this. I'm getting ready to come out with a solo podcast. It's actually a vlog. It's actually what would you call it? Just a video podcast. It's not. So I guess technically it's not a podcast. It's
Vlog.
I'm about to come out with a vlog, and it's going to be called Christian Music That Made Me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm
That's
going to talk about all the Christian music that made me over the years. You know, OC Supertones, 5 Iron Frenzy, all that stuff. So if you're into the old school Christian music, DC talk, then this is going to be your show. But
Brittany doesn't have any idea
Who?
those
Yeah, I
people
was about to say, who are these people?
that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's going to educate people like Brittany who has zero
You know
musical
who DC Talk is?
ideas.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Tell me a song. I'm gonna like sing that
Jesus
song.
Freak?
Colored people, Jesus
Oh,
Freak,
Jesus Freak. I know Jesus Freak. I didn't know who sang it.
Between You and Me. Okay, well, that's cool. You don't know DC talk.
Well, you already got one viewer on your blog.
So yeah, so those are going to be, so it's going to be educating for people like Brittany who has zero idea about Christian music. It's going to be, you know, reminiscent to and nostalgic to people that used to listen to Christian music that
Where can they
haven't
find this?
anymore.
Where can they find this blog?
Abram Crozier Ministries. It's going to start back. It's going to start in June. I don't have an exact date, but it will happen in June. And I already have a theme song worked out and everything. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. But anyway, Hawk Nelson was a Christian band, and the lead singer just came out this week, and he says, I have a big announcement. I do not believe in God.
Wow.
Have you all seen this?
No.
I did not see this.
I should have sent it to you. Yeah, I do not believe in God. And he didn't really go into like serious details. I think it's been something that's been boiling for months and years. And but part of the reason was, which blew my mind when I read it, part of his reasoning was he just could not, one, he said the Bible is written by flawed people that are just as flawed as him. So he couldn't understand that. Why, you know, what's the big deal about the Bible? It was just written by men. The other one was, and this one I hear all the time, which is hilarious. How can a good God allow bad things to happen? Why can a good God allow bad things to happen? It drives me nuts.
You hear that one a lot, actually.
But and it's funny. Well, here's the thing, because I saw a pastor and a bunch of people this week share a post, and it was, I'm a Christian, and it shouldn't bother you that I'm a Christian, because if I die and I'm wrong, I hate this. If I die and I'm wrong, I don't lose anything, right? But if you die and you're wrong, you get to go to hell. And a pastor shared it. That drives me nuts. That is the worst argument for a Christian to say, right? We're not supposed to be living for Christ just in case, like, if we're wrong, like, nothing happens, but if we're right, we'll go to heaven. Like, God's not going to be like, oh, cool, I'll let you in because you were just a Christian just so you wouldn't go to hell, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, like, come on. Like, God wants us to love him, and he wants us to be a part of him, and he wants us to grow with him and be a Christian here on this earth. And so, but it's that mentality and that thinking of, I'm just a Christian so that if you're wrong, well, it's just idiotic. I hate that argument. It's a dumb argument.
I think people forget that God knows your heart. He looks at your heart. So, yeah, you could say that, and you could wear a mask and a face and all this stuff saying that, like, you're a Christian and all this, but God knows the truth, and that's for everybody. That's for all three of us.
For some of you older generational people, there's a song that's a song that goes.
Are you singing it out of your head? Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to sing it in my head.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
All right, I'll sing it. The whole song is about his girlfriend gets in a car wreck. I'm going to heaven, so I gotta be good, so I can go to. Yeah. So anyway, the whole point is, he says, she died, right? And so he goes, I have to be good, right, for the rest of my life, so that I can go to heaven when I leave this world, just to be with his girlfriend. And that's the whole song. It was real popular back in the olden days. And that song, I hate that song because it's the same thing. You're going to heaven because your girlfriend's in heaven and she died, okay? Well, one, you don't know if she's even in heaven. But, hey, you're going to be good and just so you can go to heaven. That's not why we go to heaven, right? You don't go to heaven to see your family or your friends. You go to heaven for Jesus Christ, right? The bonus is your friends and your family being there. That's a bonus. But it's not guaranteed, number one. And number two, we shouldn't be living our life so we can see our family members when we die.
I believe you said that in a sermon once.
I say it all the time. I try to. Because it's important.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
Because what happens is people on this earth are living for things, right? We live on this earth for our kids. We live for our spouse. We live for our job. And then when you have to retire from that job, or you get fired from that job, or you quit that job, your life is over because you live for that job. When you're living for your kids, and God forbid something happens to your kids, that's a terrible thing. My wife lost her brother to cancer when he was 14 years old. So, I know what loss is. I've seen it. I've seen how it affects a family. But if you're living for that child, anything can happen, right? Or the child gets to 18 and leaves the house. And then if that was your life, if your life was that child,
it's done.
Like, what do you do now? This is why so many divorces happen after kids leave the house, because they're like, we're just living for our kids. We're just together for the kids. Like, that's not why you should be together. That's not why you should be living. Same with your spouse, right? Your spouse may die tomorrow or leave you tomorrow. Like, if you're just living for your spouse, or anything. I mean, man-made things are going to be corrupt. They're going to rot out. They're going to just be destroyed. You want to sit there and live for Christ. Everything else is a bonus, right? Having children is a bonus, and love your kids with all your heart. But God should be first, even in front of your kids, and even in front of your spouse and your job. Christ should be first, and you should be living for God over everything. Over everything.
Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, and so back to this Hawk Nelson guy, the reason that it's like, one, that tells me, A, that he probably wasn't a Christian to begin with. If he's, I don't believe in God. Like, you obviously were messed up in the very beginning. Nobody taught you how to be a real Christian. Number two, I hate that he didn't reach out to people. I think his dad is even a pastor. So I hate that he didn't have, I hate that all these questions were bottled up inside of him for so many years, and he never asked anybody or dug deeper into God's word to find the answers. The answer's there. Go back to Genesis, right? And you're going to realize the fall of man. That the reason that a good God allows bad things to happen is because God allows us. He makes a choice. He wants us to freely love him. Could you imagine if God was like, I'm going to make people love me?
Because he could. God could do this.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate God sometimes.
Yes.
And what he can do, because sometimes we're like, oh, well, God created us. But there's more to that.
Yes.
Like, God knows. I'll quote another one of my favorite podcasts, but in this podcast they say, God knows what would happen if something that didn't happen happened. That's deep.
Yeah.
We can't fathom what God can do.
No, we can't.
We try to, but you can never understand the things that God can do.
And he wants us to freely receive Him, and He wants us to freely surrender our lives to Him and freely, follow Him. And that's something that is one of the great things about being a Christian is it's not just.
It's not forced.
It's not forced, right? I think it's real. It becomes real at that point, right? Because it's not forced. It's real. And so that's the reality of it. And we have fallen. Sin has been created because of the fall of man. And read the entire Bible, and you'll see sin throughout the entire Bible. Look at our lives. What we're seeing even right now with we're having riots right now in our society. That is not because, that's not a black issue or a white issue or a race issue. It's a sin issue, right? There was a police officer who put his knee on somebody's neck and held it there until he died, right? You want to be mad, his name is Derek Chauvin. You want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Derek Chauvin. I don't know if Derek's a racist or not, right? Because if you look at his career, he's been sued before for some rights being infringed. He's been in trouble and reprimanded because he had some instances with abuse to some people. So I think the guy just has a problem, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's even racist, but that's a Derek problem, right? Derek has a sin problem, and seeing how people are reacting. It's not getting justice for this George Floyd by burning up everything. It is literally
They're just
sinning. Yeah, I mean, it's
They're
just like we're a bunch of sinners, and somewhere down the road, everybody said, you know what? People are inherently good, and that's not the case.
No.
We're inherently bad, and we have to be taught.
And the Bible tells us that. The Bible says we're born
You look at your
sinners.
children. You put your kids are bad. And they want to hit each other, and they want to yell at each other, and get in fights with each other. And you have to teach them, no, you don't hit each other. You don't touch each other. You have to teach them all these things. And you don't have to say anything as a Christian about this. Because this is what a lot of big pastors are coming out. We got to speak up. White people, do something. You don't have to say anything because you're white. You don't have to vote a certain party just because you're black, Mr. Joe Biden. Culture should not dictate how we react to situations. Culture is what got us to this point. Derek killed George Floyd. Not white people, not police officers across this world. Derek Chauvin. Right? Derek. So, I can't think of the verse off the top of my head right now. The Bible says, I believe it's in John, that we're supposed to decrease and God should increase. And especially in these moments of our lives, right? We need to be decreasing. Right? Instead of us having to have a statement all the time and speaking out, no. We need to decrease, and we need to be praying out to God to free us from all these things. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, I believe it is, we're told to pray for our authority. We're supposed to pray for those that are going. Whenever we're going through issues, we should be going to God in prayer. And that it says in I believe it's verse 6, right? That is what's good for God. That's like God. That's good in the eyes of God when we go to Him in prayer. And so we need to be doing that in everything we do.
And speaking of prayer too, I feel like people also will say, like, because we hear people in the church setting all the time say, like, calling all prayer warriors or all these things. But I think we think sometimes like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not a prayer warrior. I don't have to pray, right?
Or the pastor's supposed to be doing prayer,
or other people are supposed to pray for me. But if you're not praying yourself, then you're losing out on a connection aspect of your relationship with God.
And we're supposed to be representing Christ in everything we do. This is something that we miss as Christians. In everything.
Social media included.
Social media, at work, here's something I see at churches all the time. A lot of the older people in church will sit there and get upset when the younger people are loud or excited, being,
excited for God or
whatever.
Anything.
They get upset. Well, no. Show Christ, right? What did Christ do for children? He said, come to me. Right? Come to me. All these kids come to me. So we have to represent Christ in everything that we do. When we handle a situation, we have to represent Christ. Because I've seen a lot of people that are so hurt by what happened in our society with this, black man getting killed, that they're losing their Christianity over it. We had an effigy of the governor. Somebody hung a dummy that was supposed to be the governor. They hung him, right?
State?
Yeah.
Dang.
And here's the thing. There was a lot of people that had Christian connected to it that were a part of it. Call themselves Christian, and they're sitting there hanging a dummy of our governor. It's idiotic. It's stupid. We're supposed to be representing Christ. You don't like what the governor's doing? I don't like what he's doing half the time, right? I think that in his heart he's doing the right thing, but I don't agree with all of his policies. I don't agree with the things that he does. But does it mean I hate the guy? No, I don't hate him. Does it mean I'm going to sit there and threaten him? Nope, not going to do that either. But you know what I am going to do? Because I believe in a God that's bigger than my governor, and he's bigger than my president, and he's bigger than the culture issues of the country. I'm going to go pray to that God. And I'm going to say, God, my heart is heavy because of this. And God, I just ask that your will be done over this situation. And let me stay focused on what I'm supposed to be doing as a Christian. Because here's the thing. Abram Crozier cannot control people in Minneapolis. I can't control a police officer and what he does in Minneapolis. But I can control myself. I can control my life. And I'm going to do that to the best of my ability.
And I think once you change your attitude in prayer towards like God's, like let go and let God, like kind of let God do his own thing, then your mindset becomes, okay, is this pleasing to God? And God just kind of takes over your life.
Does it benefit God?
Yeah.
Does it reflect Christ?
That becomes your first question, and everything you do becomes,
and
okay,
if you can do
is
that
this
on,
going to affect God? You know, what is God going to say about this?
and if you
what is
can,
God
yeah, and if you can learn to do that on social media, it'll save a lot of headaches. If you can sit there and go, okay, before I make this post, and before I make this opinion, and before I share this thing, does this benefit God? Does this reflect Christ? You know, will this hurt somebody that I don't mean hurting? Especially in our case, we're right here in the middle of Falmouth. It's in Kentucky. It's it's very diverse. Just in general, Kentucky is just a very diverse place, and so there's going to be people with strong opinions one way or the other. And so for a pastor and leaders in the church, we have to figure out, you know, where do we toe that line? Do we even need to address it? And does it benefit the church? Does it benefit God?
My sister wears a bracelet that says WWJD. It says, "What would Jesus do?" And I think that should be a constant reminder. That should be imprinted on our brains.
Let's say this. She has another one that says HWLF. He would love first.
Wow.
Answers that question. What would Jesus do? He would love first. He would love everyone first.
Does that mean you should love your enemies? Yes. Even the governor, if you don't like him.
Because
whatever
God
your
does.
stance is, if you know the president, if you don't like him, whatever your stance is on all these things.
Because God does.
Guess what? God loves them. God loves everyone he created. God
And
loves.
we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Say that again.
Human.
Human, not human. Say it again, please.
We all make mistakes. And the reality of life is there is no easy answer to things. Right? There's no easy answer to how to stop, you know, the bad cops from being bad. There's no easy answer for, and because it's not just cops, it's everybody. There's badness in everything.
Yeah, it's people.
And just because there's one bad cop doesn't mean all cops are bad. Just because there's one bad preacher doesn't mean all preachers are bad. Although a lot of them are. Even if there's one bad, I mean, come on.
You can say that about
You
anything.
could do it with anything. And you could do it a million ways. And I just know that for me, in my house, we are going to serve the Lord.
Amen.
Right? I don't, because I even saw this post and I think it's really good. Why in the world? I'm trying to think who just said it, but it was really good. I think it was Roger Palmer, actually.
Could have been.
My good old.
This was the what does he do at Crossings?
He used to be in charge of staff morale.
Yeah, like a director or something.
I don't know. He was a bigwig at Crossings, but he said this: Christians should not be surprised when non-Christians act like non-Christians. Like this is what an unbelieving world looks like: destruction, chaos, confusion. Why? Because they don't have hope in this world. And this thing I would tell that Hawk Nelson lead singer: where's the hope? Without God, what hope do you even have now? What's the point of living?
And my
What's the
thing
point
with
of
him
doing
is he
anything?
acknowledges God. By him saying, I do not believe in God, he's acknowledging
You're
that God is
acknowledging
real,
that God's real.
and that you don't believe him. But you do because you just said God. My uncle is an atheist. I love my uncle to death. But he'll go head to head with me, and I just know that Jesus loves him, and I have to show love to him. And by atheists saying, like, I don't believe in God, that's them saying, oh, there is a
And
God.
here's the thing: it's we don't save people, right? Our job is to present the gospel, and it's up to God and the Holy Spirit to really move inside them.
And I think yeah, we have to believe that. Believe that God can do it.
Yeah.
And God's bigger than our problems. God's bigger than our.
But so often
small issues.
we want to be the ones to save that person
Yeah.
and take credit for
Can't
it.
do it. Can't do it.
That's the wrong mindset to go into it.
Anyway, hold that thought real quick. We'll take a quick break.
Let's take a quick break.
Come back.
Come back.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Like you guys are
are back with Preaching Young Podcast. My name is Abram Crozier. I'm the pastor here at Trinity Southern Baptist Church.
Should have done this at the beginning, but we'll do it now. My name's Andrew.
Well, you couldn't hear what I said
It's true. Why? Why couldn't they hear
because
you?
you were talking.
Sorry.
My name is Abram Crozier, pastor at Trinity Southern Baptist Church here in Thompson, Kentucky. All right.
Andrew Reagan, worship leader, youth leader.
My name's Brittany, and I'm the administrative, what do you call it?
Assistant
You should know your own
Administrative
title.
assistant and
slash secretary
leader.
slash youth leader slash Fornash. I don't know if I can ever give you the last
Oh yeah, my last name's Fornash.
Just in case you're wondering. She doesn't dish that out.
So let's talk about this. What is your techniques to not being stressed over Facebook
Oh man.
or social media
Not being stressed
or
on-
Snapchat or Twitter?
Okay,
or
well there's a couple techniques you could go. You could allot yourself like an hour a day and just look at it.
Some people get on there some people will just literally they'll pick up their phone and the first thing they'll do mine's even on here. It's the first thing that's on here. Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
I thought this was my question.
It's just an open-ended question.
Just kidding.
Me, I like to go outside. I love, well no, when the weather's bad.
You
I
put your
just try
phone
to-
away? You have
Yes.
to. Yes.
I put my phone
This is
away.
why she
because
doesn't
Brittany
answer us. This is the
Brittany
issue.
that you're probably right. But
I
Brittany
leave it
also
on my
doesn't have
charger.
pockets. She doesn't have pockets.
I wear running
So
shorts a lot.
she
That's actually a good idea then, I guess.
it is.
Don't wear
she,
pockets.
So she just cut your pockets out of all your shorts.
Well, and
Or
just
pants.
leave your. Why do you need your phone? I understand if you're away from your parents and you're driving, you need a phone, but you don't really need a phone. It just causes more stress
Yeah, but I
than
have
it's
people, I have
needed.
people texting, calling,
Well, you know what? They
messaging,
can wait.
emailing. But that's people it's
The
just
smartest
all day
thing I've
long.
learned.
I'm
I didn't learn a lot in
Facebook
college.
messaging.
Let me tell you that. Didn't
Hardly
learn a lot.
hardly anything.
Nothing.
Please
Don't
tell
think
me
it
that you
made
did
me
not
any
learn
smarter.
something about cell phones.
She did.
No, I didn't learn anything about
School,
cell
some
phones.
phones.
What I
Yeah.
learned,
Wow, that's
my
an expensive lesson.
what I learned,
That's nothing.
my major was social work for all those people who don't know, but social work is a very demanding job. It really is. I shout out to all the social workers out there because I'm not doing that. But
We love you, social
Wait,
workers.
did you hear that? She's not doing that. Right?
yeah, I'm not doing it, so it's okay.
So good luck.
4
You're
years.
Worthless
down
degree.
another social worker.
Yeah.
4-year degree for nothing.
No,
Anyway,
it's
go ahead.
okay. It's okay. But one thing I did learn is self-care. I can't speak today. Self-care is
You
so
were making fun of
important.
Abram.
I know.
Now
I know,
you're the one who
I
can't
know.
talk.
Self-care is important. And I think especially in a role of stop. Like my dad.
Hold on. Take a minute. Regain your thoughts.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go.
All right. So, my dad is also a pastor. He's an associate pastor, and I know sometimes it just gets annoying. Even to me and my mom, it gets annoying sometimes because people are constantly calling him. I think it's important for even pastors to take time for self-care.
Yes.
You have to take care of yourself, or you're not going to be able to take care of anyone else or try to be there for them. It's just not going to happen. So, yes, self-care. That's important. That's why I just like to go outside. That's my de-stressor. I love air, which is,
You breathe it all the
you
time.
need it, but I love water, like open water. I just love that stuff. So yeah, sorry. Nobody really cares.
Rabbit hole with Brittany.
Yeah. No, but you're right. We pastors, especially, they need to take breaks. But this is part of the reason why they're so depressed and upset and stressed, and it reflects because then you go to church, right? Then when you actually have to deal with somebody, it's like they don't realize it. It's their first time talking to you, but it's like they don't know what you've dealt with for the 4 hours leading up to them
Yeah.
you calling, and it can be overwhelming. I was telling a young person who wants to be a pastor this exact thing. Like, it's not just you standing up and preaching and thinking that everything's wonderful and grand and everybody's going to listen to you.
More to it.
It's 90% of complaints. It's 5% people not liking what you're doing, and then it's another 5% of you preaching. Preaching is the easiest part of being a preacher. The preaching is the easiest part. It's the rest of your week that is a headache and chaotic and depressing. It's depressing. This week we went from went from first Sunday back to I've had people complaining about the fact that we're doing 2 services, the fact that we're not using certain people to do special music. That I was told this week that I don't like the older generation, which is funny to me. But so it's just like this is the week that Abram Crozier has. It's a high on Sunday, then it's
Downhill.
Yeah, it's just complain. You're not good enough. You're not doing enough. Where are you? And then it's boom, Sundays, everything's great and grand, and then it's a weird process. It's weird. I don't know how else to
I
describe
feel like
it.
it's easy to get discouraged through the week.
Yeah.
I won't speak for you, but
But
That's why you have us to,
yeah, I vent to them a lot, but I also know it's, you have to stay focused on what, like, the reason that you're doing it at the end of the day. Because I'm not doing it for people.
that's true.
I'm not-
And the Bible says it's not going to be easy.
We're doing
You're
this
gonna have
for
tribulations,
God, and
If it were easy, everybody would do it.
everybody tries to do it
Can I get an amen there?
though. No,
Yeah, I feel like people
everybody
do really
tries.
try to do it. Like they're like, I'm gonna go to seminary, not be called, but I'm gonna go to seminary and be a.
Why are you bringing that up?
Because it's true.
There's
the
nothing wrong with
calling-
seminary.
There's nothing wrong with seminary. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is wrong is when they say, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to seminary and be a
Everyone
pastor."
thinks
I'm
it's
like,
an easy route. Everyone
true.
thinks it's
I'm
an
like-
easy job, an easy career, and that it's going to be, I want my voice heard, and so
Exactly.
what really hurts my heart is, somebody will, so for me, because I didn't go to seminary school, so there's a lot of extra work that has to go into it, and somebody goes to seminary school that is not called, that they're just doing it for the money.
Well, they're doing it for a career. They're
Or
like,
a
oh, I want to
career.
do this as a
Yeah,
job.
they're gonna go and they'll get a big church, and they'll never have to learn how you have to grow a church. They'll never have to go through that process. And I'm glad, to be honest with you. I love being able to say, we were able to take a church that was broken and we were able to grow it through Christ, and this is how you do it. Like, that's amazing to me. I don't have to have a degree to tell me how to grow a church for Christ, because when you let God lead the church, God's going to lead the church. And you can have the greatest degree in the world or the worst degree in the world, but there's something.
Neither one of them matter.
No, yeah, they don't matter. If there's something to say about a church, that if you can take a broken church and grow it, there's something there, right? And I think you got to be able to listen to people that can do that. And for me, it's still a very simple answer, which is Christ. Preach Christ, and the rest
Seems to
will
be
follow.
the answer. Seems to be the answer for a lot of things. Isn't that ironic?
It is kind of like you were talking about your dad, Brittany.
yeah, my dad.
And so here's something. Past couple weeks we've
Great
been
guy,
doing,
by the way.
a thing called what do we call it? Things I recognized about Brittany.
I think the first segment was things I hate about Brittany.
No, we've never said that. No,
It might
we've
not
never
be.
said
I
that.
think it was things I
things I've
dislike.
learned.
Things I've learned, that's what it
Things
was.
I've learned about Brittany.
Things I've learned
And
about
but today I want to do things I want to know about Brittany.
Ooh, this could be interesting.
What traits did you take from each of your parents?
All right. So first off, my dad, he's very outgoing. I would consider myself outgoing. I
Yes.
can talk to anybody, and I really did take that trait from my dad. It doesn't matter who you are. Maybe it's awkward at first because I talk too much,
No,
but
it will be awkward.
it will be.
All right,
but I
let's
can
go
talk
through
to
this.
you.
If you're walking up to a stranger, what's the first, what should they expect when you first come up to them?
They never
you
met
should
you before, like at a fan
expect-
meetup.
Yeah, fan meetup, which we'll have one of those in July.
Oh, okay. You would probably expect like, oh, hey, how are you doing? What's up? Like, I'll act like I know you. I just got that trait from my dad. I don't know. He always acts like he knows everyone. Even if he doesn't know him, I'll be like, Dad, did you know that person?
You'd be like, no.
No. Or he'll say, yeah, I arrested him. And they like love him. And I'm
He's a
like,
cop.
oh,
He's
okay.
a cop.
Yeah, sorry. My dad is a cop. But I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. I have taken that from my dad.
What about your mother?
My mother, great lady. Funny lady. Her laugh. I got my mom's laugh.
Is that, okay. Where'd you get your singing?
Hold on, I can attest to this. Neither one of her parents. It skipped her parents and went straight to her brother.
No,
And
my
it
brother.
skipped
My
Brittany.
dad can sing
Oh.
kind of.
I guess if anybody, it comes from her dad a little bit. Her singing comes from her mom. Her brother singing, who's
I'm
Her
tone
her
deaf.
brother
Comes
sounds
from
like
her dad.
Chris Stapleton / Johnny Cash /
Elvis
Elvis.
Presley.
I mean, it's amazing.
Elvis.
I said Elvis.
You said
None of
Elvis.
us- None of us can talk. But yeah, I definitely got my laugh and my
Speak
mom's
for
singing
yourself.
voice. I'm tone deaf.
Pretty is turned up. We were just working on some hymns earlier
Yeah,
today.
give
and-
us Pass Me Now, we'll do
Yeah, go ahead. No, haven't came down. Go ahead.
Heaven came down and glory filled my soul,
Okay, that's not
filled
terrible.
my
That's
soul.
That was not fake.
This is real. This is a.
I don't think it sounds that bad.
Well,
Hey, joyful noise.
That's
what
not
can I
fake.
say?
No.
it's a noise.
Yeah, whatever. What else? What else do you want to know?
Oh, that was it. I just didn't know what trait you got.
That's kind of
from
boring.
One of your,
Her dad got this
I did not
outgoing trait,
realize
and her
this.
mom got a laugh. That's kind of.
that is kind of, it is.
It's kind of an insult to Penny.
No, I love my
Am I allowed to
mom.
say her name? Can I say her name? Sorry, Penny.
Yeah, my mom's
Okay.
name's Penny.
Shout out.
But, I mean, what else would you think I got from my mom? You know him. Andrew. It's my boyfriend, guys.
I think I should rather not.
Yeah, you shouldn't speak. Come on now.
But yeah,
could
I
get you in
think
a lot of
I'm.
trouble.
Could get me in trouble.
I think I'm more like my father in a lot of ways. Nothing bad against my mom. She'll even tell you you're your father's daughter. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
That's embarrassing.
I am.
We love you, Dave.
We'll have Dave come.
Oh,
he'll be
he's
security.
definitely going to be one
He'll
of
be
our.
security at our fan meetups.
Well, listen. We could do a fan meetup.
We could.
I think what we're going to do is have
You know what?
We're going to have a live podcast.
We should.
With actual crowd.
We should.
It'll be interactive. We'll have Q&A.
Yeah, we
So
should.
many people, writing in all the time.
If that sounds like something you'd be interested in participating in,
Let us know.
let us know. Send us an email.
Send us an email. Christian@gmail.com.
That's correct. What else? What else in this segment? This is a good segment. Or is that it?
I like it. No, that was all I had. I
Things
did
I love about
not
Brittany. Things I
know
love about Brittany.
what Brittany thought about what traits she had from her parents.
Yeah.
But that's impressive. That's
That's
pretty cool. It's a hard question, so you answered it
That's
really
what I
well.
was gonna say. She was very.
I'm pretty close
she's on
with
the
my
spot with that.
parents.
Yeah.
They're goofy people.
They're good people. That's good. Fun fact: her dad just fixed my haircut yesterday. So
Oh, is that him?
he doubles as a cop, preacher.
It's and
haircut
Andrew.
man.
If you haven't seen this on video, you gotta watch it because Andrew has a police haircut.
Amen.
That's
brother.
how he got it. He was in the Marines. That's where he learned to cut hair. He said.
Well, you see,
That's exactly like.
my normal haircut place.
If I didn't know you, I'd be like, he's an undercover cop
I could be.
playing a youth leader.
oh.
Never know.
Did I give up? Did I give up some
You
secrets?
just gave up my. I'm a secret agent, actually. for the FBI.
Secret Asian man. That was me, third singer. Things I hate.
Oh man.
Final thoughts and things I hate.
Things you hate. We're going straight for it. Okay. Go ahead. Things you hate.
I hate division.
Wait, hold on. Can I tell them what you did today?
Please.
Oh yes.
Oh.
You want me to?
Wait. First,
I don't
can I
have
say something?
I'll have to talk about Tuesday before I talk about today.
Well,
Was it
wait a
Tuesday?
second.
Yeah, Tuesday before I talk about today.
Let me just tell you this. Every time I walk out of the building, they go, Brittany, you never have your keys. You're gonna get locked out of the building.
You're going ahead of me. So Tuesday, I was going to pump up, I was going to inflate this pool that we had for our kids. And in order to do that, you have to plug it into your car. What do they call that?
Car battery. Oh, a cigarette lighter.
Yeah,
It's
like a cigarette
That's
lighter
what it is.
thing.
That's what it is. That's how it comes. Stock in the car. It comes with like a little thingy.
Yeah.
They call it like I don't know what
I don't know what they actually
physically
call it. People don't do cigarettes anymore.
No, they don't. But that's what. It
So I plug, so you have to turn the car
Grandma does.
to the, what do they call that position? The battery position, whatever it's
Starter?
called.
run your battery down, but you couldn't turn it on.
That's what, no, I didn't want to turn on because it's only going to be there for 5 seconds.
Okay, so you turn
it
the
to the
battery
battery,
on. Got it.
turn the battery on, stick it in there, blow it up. Neighbors talking to me, it's chaos, kids running around. I unplug, I take the pool to the back, fill it up for a few hours.
2 hours. How
Okay,
big
it
is
was
this pool?
30 minutes. It was about 30 minutes. Fill it up with water. The kids played in it. It started raining. We came inside. It was Memorial Day. It was Monday.
Monday.
We came inside, packed everything up, and then we went to bed. I woke up the next day. Becky says, Abram, you left the key in the on position, the battery position, all night.
That's a pretty move.
And I had my wallet, I had my the garage door, my keys have the church keys, the house keys, and the car key. Like, it was pretty stupid. So luckily nobody got into my car, and then I had to jump start it, which also always makes me nervous because you can blow up everything if you jump it the wrong way. So I'm stressed because I'm like, dude, don't let these touch. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you connect the.
You jumped it all by yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's manly. So there was that. So for some reason, my keys this week have not been, because I have a clip, and I clip my keys to my belt, and I keep my keys with me at all times.
Well, on Amazon.
All times I keep, actually this was, I don't think so. I think I got it at Walmart.
Oh, I love that.
But I keep them with me at all times, and for some reason, I left them overnight in my car, and I had to get my battery checked yesterday. And then I wanted to get to church earlier today before Andrew and Brittany because, like, as you can tell, Andrew and Brittany can sometimes interrupt me, and they're loud, and Brittany sings, and so I want to get.
That's probably distracting in itself.
So I tried to get her early to get in here and work on some things, and so I get here at 8:30, and I get inside. I also just got a brand new cool chair that I was excited about. My old chairs are ripped. So I grabbed this chair. throw away, the old chair to throw away. And then I get a text message about somebody telling me how I'm right. And so I like when I get those all the time, but I like it. What I am, I was right. And I was right about the situation, and so I was like, cool, this is exciting. And so I was all over the place. I put the old chair in the dumpster. I go to unlock the door, and I don't have my keys. I go, oh my goodness, my keys are in the church. And so I call Andrew Brittany. I say, can y'all hurry up and get here? They're supposed to be here at 10. I said, can you come here a little early? They said, oh yeah, we'll be on our way. Brittany's like, we'll literally be there early. We'll get there like at 9:15. That's no big deal. I'm like, cool.
Did not say
fair,
9:15. You called me at like
To be fair,
8:50.
yeah, Brittany was the one that made us late today.
So I went and I said, well, I'm going to go to my mom's house. My mom's out three minutes away. So I walked to my mom's house, hung out with them out in the front porch while they were talking about stuff. And it was a nice little visit. But Brittany and Andrew do not show up early. They show up at 10, which is the time they were originally going to come anyway. So they didn't even come a minute early. It was literally 10 on the nose.
I had to wake Andrew up. He wasn't even up when you called.
First off, I talked to Andrew, so I know that's a lie.
I wasn't.
No, he said he called you back, so that's a lie because he said I had a missed call.
I know,
from
but you
Andrew.
didn't have to wake him up. I woke him up on
No,
my phone
I had
call.
to call him after you called me and called him and waked him up.
Waked?
Waked.
Brittany has
Woke
speech
him
problems
up.
today.
It's okay.
Moral of the story is,
Moral of the
finish
story
the
is-
story. Finish the story.
So then they drive me
picked her-
from my
we picked him
mom's
up,
house here, and then I'm looking, we go inside, I look for my keys, it's not inside. And I go, well, where is my keys? So I'm looking inside my car, I thought maybe I locked my keys in my car. No, it somehow fell by the dumpster when I threw the chair in there.
So Abram waited an hour and a half for us to get there, when
And I
his keys were
could've-
outside the
yeah.
entire time.
And thank God nobody stole them.
So this is 2 times in 1 week
My
that his
keys
car
were-
and keys could have been stolen.
It's not been good. It's not good.
So I think we need to buy a roll of duct tape.
God's
and
trying to tell me
tape
something.
it to his chest. So he
Saying
can't.
slow down.
Maybe
Okay,
say
Miss
that.
Rusher.
I am not a rusher.
Brittany's always in a rush. If you want to hear that, go back to episode 9, I believe it is.
Sure. Or 8.
Or 8.
Or 7
It's
or
one of
6
those.
or 5
I'm
or
sure
We're
it's
all
4.
10.
on all
She
three.
rushes us on all
That
of
is
our
a very true
podcasts.
point.
Things I hate in my final thoughts. Media division. I swear, every election year, what we see right now with riots and stuff happens every election year. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm having a Mandela effect.
No, I think
Is
you're
that what
right.
they call it, the Mandela effect?
I don't know.
Mandela.
Who's that?
Nelson Mandela. Nelson, please come.
Nelson Mandela. Is that even his name? I think you're saying his last name.
Isn't he a boxer?
Oh my gosh.
All right, listen.
So-
Explain to people that you just graduated from college.
A 4-year.
4-year
Degree.
degree in May. You just did.
Doesn't know who Nelson Mandela
Okay.
is. Doesn't know who Michael Jordan is. Which that I
You
can
need to
see
Google
college.
Nelson Mandela because that is actually historical. The guy has an incredible story.
Okay,
My
I'll
word.
look it up.
But here's the thing, and I really, maybe I should be blaming Brittany for causing division.
What? I don't even don't do anything on social media.
But anyway, here's what happens. Media wants to divide us. In order to control us, they want to divide us.
Amen.
And they tried to divide us with the virus.
Amen.
They tried to divide us with the mask. We
Preach
have
it.
the mask wearers and the non-mask wearers. Now they're trying to divide us with black people being killed. They haven't reported on black people being killed for months. All of a sudden, whoops, now they're getting killed all left and right. But 2 months ago, when they were still getting killed, nobody said anything, right?
Media
Chicago, the amount of people that get killed in Chicago every day that are black is
It's
unbelievable.
insane, yeah.
Even in Louisville, just last night, there were 7 people that got shot and killed in Louisville because they're protesting because of another incident where cops walked into, break into this guy's house, busted in the house. The guy shoots one of the cops. I believe this story is correct. The guy shoots the cop. And so they start shooting everywhere and kills his girlfriend and wife. So this weird things that are happening right now, it's very confusing, and the media loves it. Why do they love it? Because of ratings. Division and ratings.
And ratings and
If you'll turn into their station, they get money because their advertisers are happy. So of course they're going to talk about it. Of course they're going to do it.
They'll do whatever it takes to get those ratings.
And
That means causing a whole bunch of division. They'll do it.
here's what I hate. I watched that video. Did y'all see the video?
Which one are you talking about? The
Knee on the neck.
oh,
Yes.
I have yet to see the video, but I've seen enough pictures.
It's a
I've seen enough
disturbing.
pictures
It's a
to know.
disturbing video. But are all cops disgusting and disturbing? No. Are all white people the problem? No. Because this is where white people speak up. They're not the problem. It wasn't a white person or cop who did this. It was Derek.
Mm.
And we need to teach our kids to be good citizens in every situation. Okay? I'm 6'2", 230 pounds. Okay? Biracial. Possibly could look Muslim. Some people tell me that before.
I said he
I won't go there. My point is this. If I wanted to be threatening, I could be threatening, right? I could, you know what I'm saying? I could widen my stance. I can yell. I can raise my voice. I can be a scary person if I wanted to be. But I don't have to be. I don't choose to be. And if for whatever reason, we were always taught certain things. I was taught as a kid, because I'm biracial, my dad's black, my mom's white, don't ever put your hands in your pockets in the store. Don't ever eat at places that are not franchised. I don't go to mom and pop places because we were just taught not to do that. You go to McDonald's and Burger King's and Wendy's. We were taught when a cop pulls you over, you turn on the interior lights and you put your hands on the steering wheel until they tell you what to do. We were taught these little basic things just to keep us protected. If a cop says get out of the car, put your hand behind your back, or get on the ground, you just do what they have to say. Even if you're saying, look, I didn't do this. You don't sit there and argue with the cop. You do what they say. If he asks you questions, you can explain your side. If he doesn't ask you, takes you in, let him do it. And then when you get in front of a judge with your lawyer, you can plead your case. This is how our justice system
set up
works.
that way.
But yet we go, no, I'm going to argue with the cop. He's going to throw me on the ground. And then we get in a situation where, an unfortunate accident happens, or non-accident. I don't even care what it was, because I was taught never to be put in a situation where a cop has to put his knee on my neck in order to subdue me. And that's what drives me nuts. And you know what else drives me nuts? I'm sitting there watching. I hate going politics, but I'm going to do it. I hate watching.
It's at the very end. We can afford it.
Yes. I'm watching Joe Biden talk about the black community to Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club. And the first thing they say is, what are you going to do for the black community? Joe Biden says, no one should be put in jail over drugs. And nobody should be put in jail over marijuana. And I thought to myself, at what point did the black community become the drug community? Like, talk about getting them out of poverty. How about getting them a better education? How about, teaching them that they don't have to go down the route of drugs? Why in the world is it, what are you going to do for the black community? Oh, we're going to make sure that nobody who's doing drugs gets persecuted for it, or prosecuted for it.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Then he ends it with, you ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. Now, I hate that. And he may have been joking, sure. Let's say he was joking. I hate that. That's not even a funny joke.
I was gonna say,
my entire life, Abram Crozier has never been white enough. Abram Crozier has never been black enough. I have people come up to me and say, oh, look at our skin color. I'm darker than you. It sounds racist, doesn't it? Because it probably is. So I hate it when somebody says you ain't black, especially an old white man who's 77 years old, who's has many. He
probably has dementia or.
No, he doesn't. If you look through his entire record,
Just how he is.
he has always been racist. They're going to put you back in chains, he said. Like, what? Who says something like that? He even said, go to any 7-Eleven. They're all owned by Indians. Like, he has been very outspoken. Or I know about roaches because of kids. Did you hear that one? About the pool? He said he used to go to the swimming pool and he let kids rub his legs up and down. That's how he learned about roaches. Weird stuff like this. I don't know what he's talking about. He's a weird and creepy dude. And in a time where race is there's such a tension with it, it blows my mind that he gets a pass. Or anybody gets a pass, right? Nobody should get a pass from racism. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And it breaks my heart.
It's true.
Even recently, somebody called my dad, who used to be a friend with him. And they go, my mom answered, and they go, she's like, hello? And he's like, hey, this is the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Like, just in joke, like just in jest, it was a joke. But who does that? It's like, why would you even joke about that in 2020? This is the reality that we're living in. There is racism, but there's not a white problem, right? The majority of white people are not racist.
Just a sin problem.
There's a sin problem. And the only way that we can do it is, the only way we can fix it is this. I can't control other people, but I can control me.
Amen to that one.
So as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord.
Doesn't say as for me and my.
Not as for you and your house
Yeah,
and your
as for you
neighbor
and
and,
your house, yeah.
and you got to do people, and as for you and your nation, and as for you and your white people. No, it said, as for you and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord. And I think we have to get to that mindset of, I'm not going to get distracted or divided by what the world wants me to get distracted or divided by. Why in the world are we letting the culture dictate what we do as Christians? The culture goes, and this is why pastors are driving me nuts by speaking out. The culture's telling you to speak out, right? God's not calling you to speak out. The culture is saying, if you don't speak out, you don't like black people, or you're not for us, or you're not woke enough. I'm done with it. So this is the last time I'm talking about it.
No, I think you made good points, though. Very good points. Brittany, anything? Looks like you're off over there.
No, I'm good.
Brittany really worked really hard today.
She worked so hard for about an hour.
She doesn't have to do bulletins anymore, likely.
You know what, guys? I'm happy to be here with you. I'm not even saying negative things.
Hey guys, what's up? We thank you for listening to our podcast today. If you have any questions, you can email us at preachingyoung, no caps, no spaces, @gmail.com. Hope to see you next time.